America's funniest home videos, won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about Ghostbusters 2.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They called the Ghostbusters and they in control. Had them throwing a party for a bunch of children. All the while the slime was under the building. So they packed up the group, got a grip, came equipped, grabbed the proton packs up the back and they split. Found out about Vigo, the master of evil. Try to battle my boys.
Well, that ain't legal. You know, Bobby Brown's a bit of a Karen. Not legal. Was he going to call the camps?
Yeah,
No,
camps.
Vigo's after my boys.
Isn't Bobby Brown the guy that was married to Whitney Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's also an abuser.
Well, that ain't legal.
Yeah, that definitely ain't legal.
Yeah, they had drug issues.
I am going to make the unpopular opinion that I think this song by Bobby Brown is better than the Ray Parker song from the first movie. Yeah.
Well, you've heard this one more. Every time I hear this song, I just think of the pandemic and endless heists on GTA 5.
GTA 5. That's true. They did good putting it in. Well, welcome to this is our Is It a Christmas Movie sequel?
Yeah, Is It a Christmas Movie Part 2?
And they're all technically sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of twos and maybe a 3 or 4, I don't know.
I think it's a 3.
A 3?
But we can ignore the second one of the Christmas Vacation.
Yes. So these are movies that aren't necessarily Christmas movies, but they do take place during Christmas. Last year we did Die Hard, the most controversial.
Yeah.
It's definitely a Christmas movie, which we will be watching this month on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yes.
And we also did Gremlins, which we found out was definitely a Christmas movie.
Oh, 100% a Christmas movie.
And then
we did something else.
Was it Home Alone?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes, because it came out around Thanksgiving.
Who cares?
Anyway, we've been doing this show for so long now, I don't remember anything anymore.
I got to tell you, man, I did not care very much for Ghostbusters 2 when I first saw it and it came out. Much like everybody else in the world, I was so hyped for this.
Oh, yeah.
The original Ghostbusters, not the cartoon, but the movie,
right,
is one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Oh, yeah. It was huge.
Perfect movie.
Yeah, perfect. Completely perfect. It is. I mean, it was the highest grossing movie of the year. It came out. Like, it was huge. Everybody loved it.
But the mix of sci-fi, comedy, action, everything worked so well in the original.
It was dark and sardonic.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was for grown-ups. Kids could enjoy it, but it was, they smoked, they swore, they got ghostly oral sexual things. I'm looking at you, Dan Aykroyd.
I never needed to see Dan Aykroyd getting a blowjob. That was not,
Well, yes. Anyway, but the second one, man, when it came out, it was just really disappointing.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I haven't seen this movie probably in 20 years, and I really enjoyed watching it again. It is age. I'm finding a lot of films that I didn't really like when they first came out, a lot of times because of hype or whatever.
Yeah.
That with age, I'm enjoying them. This movie, I had a much better time than I've ever had watching it.
Yeah, it's fun. I think most people were like you. It was so hyped up. And it took so long to get made, and then it got made, and people were just like, oh, that's it? And it's like, well, now we've had 35 years of movies trying to be Ghostbusters and doing this stuff and doing it very poorly.
But it still had the charm of the leads. It had the chemistry of the leads.
Yeah.
I thought that the standouts, were Annie Potts and Rick Moranis. Peter MacNicol was great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a star-making turn for Peter MacNicol.
But it was kind of a retread in the third act. Man, oof. And especially after Scrooge, it seemed like Scrooge and Ghostbusters had a very similar ending.
Yeah.
They both had Motown songs and, happy...
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, both of them are Christmas movies. It's about learning, learning that you don't have to be an ass all the time.
Of course, but I think that also, it was just too much of Bill Murray schmaltz.
Well, I mean, in Scrooged, it was Bill Murray learning the meaning of Christmas, whereas in Ghostbusters 2, it was literally the entire city, and it didn't like all of a sudden they're just singing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like it felt like there was something that was missing.
A river of hate slime running through New York City that is fueled by people's hate and anger is brilliant.
Oh, it's great.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's fine. It's a fine movie. You know, all of the Ghostbusters movies are fine.
Yeah.
All of them. The female Ghostbusters is pretty funny if you watch
the
it.
reboot one, 2016.
Got some great people in the cast. I really liked the first rebooty one. I wasn't a huge fan of the second one that just came out recently, the cold
the
Frozen Wilds
Frozen
or
Empire.
whatever.
Frozen Empire.
Just seemed a little bloated to me. And
I've only seen it once. I need to watch it again. But I think it had the same issue. Like I really liked Afterlife, and because it was a continuation of this story, and it was good. And then Frozen Empire was just kind of like, okay, what are we doing with these characters now?
I would love to see a sequel that goes smaller rather than bigger. Something that is more intimate, like zigzag when everybody else is zigging. You don't need to go big, bloated, throw everything in the kitchen sink in there for the sequel. That's you would think after 40 years of this, 50 years of this, they would have learned their lesson.
You'd think so.
That less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you have such great comedic actors. You don't need a bunch of special effects and crap going on.
Well, and that's what I feel like. That's kind of what Afterlife did. I mean, because it centered it in Ohio, and like it was this small town, and it worked, and it was connected to the first movie, and it made sense. Like it was a nice continuation, and again, I've only seen it once, but like Frozen Empire just felt kind of weird.
It's just flat. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
they
bad
made some
movie.
weird character choices too.
Yeah, they were really, really mean. The Theodulfad. The mother was just kind of
and Paul Rudd, is that he was just making some, like they wrote his character very odd.
They did not know what to do with him.
No.
And his choices were all over the place.
It was weird.
He needed to have some definite therapy after that to rein him in and his emotions. And I'm finding this more and more as we do the show. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the gifts of the show is that I'll watch these movies that I didn't necessarily care for.
Right.
And then for whatever reason, maybe just trying in the business for so long and just seeing so many subpar movies in the last 40 years.
A lot of subpar movies.
Things get better, and this movie it goes from like a C- when I first saw it, probably to a B plus.
I personally have always liked this movie because I was just the right age when it came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally the target audience.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I watched the first one and I was like, oh, okay, like I get it, like I understand. But I always had a special place in my heart for this movie.
Of course, I was in college because it came out in
89.
89. Yeah, so I was in like prime dick mode, like from like 18 to 25 were the serious douchebag years.
Yeah.
In terms of just poo-pooing everything, because I hadn't done anything yet, really.
Right.
So to me, everything was just like, well, I could do it better. I could do better than that.
You really need to take the lesson of this movie to heart.
Yes, I did. But the thing is, I'm not that guy anymore. You when you're youthful, you have an unearned hubris.
Right.
Where you think you know everything. Because you have to. I mean, to break away from the norms and to become your own human being, you have to be a bit of a sociopath, and that makes sense. That's just part of growing up.
Yeah.
But as you get older, I find that I really want to like things now. I don't want to dislike them. I'm not looking, secretly maybe a few video games because it's my pocketbook, it's like my wallet gets a little thin, so it's like, oh, well, if that game isn't that great, that's okay.
Right.
But even that, for the most part, I just want everything to be good, so people keep making stuff, and and the amount of time that people put into things,
yes,
and the work, it's just, it's like, that's why it breaks my heart with Aslov,
Zaslav,
Aslov. I guess what I
you mean Aslov?
Aslov. No, he, using art as tax breaks is the most disgusting thing you could do in this business.
It's evil.
Yes, it is. It truly is, because so many people, not just the actors and the director, but so many people, hundreds of people, spent so much time making this thing.
Yeah.
For no one to ever see it just because you effed up on all your superhero movies and you need a tax break.
You can't. We both realize that Hollywood is a business, and you need to make money to keep making things. Yeah. But you can't forget the art, otherwise you get crappy AI shit that nobody wants to see.
Right, and when you're in a precarious situation, where people are very wary of going to the actual theater these days
Right,
because streaming is so quick. You really have to make some good decisions.
Yes.
You need to have people on your side, and Warner Brothers is just losing people left and right. What's
it's really sad.
This is just a quick speed bump.
Sure.
But I saw the trailer for, I think it's called Juror Number 2.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood's
Yeah,
newest
Clint
movie.
Eastwood movie that they just swept under the rug and had no idea it came out a couple months ago.
It looks great. It's coming out on Max. I don't even think
I saw one trailer for it and I was like, oh my God, it came out in the theater.
Oh, did it?
It was out for like 2 weeks.
Just so they could maybe get an Oscar nod for him?
Possibly, yeah. But it looks great.
It looks great. And what absolute disgusting disrespect to a man who helped build your entire brand, who
does.
who billions of dollars.
Hasselhoff doesn't care.
No. And that's what's disgusting.
Yeah.
Is there is no loyalty. This man is an icon.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood has been working for 70 years.
70 plus years,
70
yeah.
plus years in this business.
Yes.
Made some of the greatest films of all time as an actor and as a director and as a producer.
Yeah, he's made a lot of people a lot of money.
Yes, and including Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And saved their
Yes.
ass several times.
Several times.
Because he is the one director that comes in under time, under budget,
Yes.
and delivers.
You know you're going to make a profit from his movie.
Exactly. So how do you repay this man who has been working his ass off up into it being a 90-something-year-old?
You shuffle his movie away so that you force him to essentially try to retire.
Well, I'm going to watch it as soon as it comes out.
Same.
Because
I think
him.
I think it actually comes out this week, if I remember correctly.
Well, good, because I'm excited to see it. It looks really interesting. And the fact that the dude is still making movies into his 90s is incredible.
It
and this
looks
may be
so
his
good.
last movie, too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, he's in his early 90s. Like, who knows? Every movie is possibly his last movie.
That's true.
And it's like, it looks good. It looks really interesting.
I really hope that he lives to be like 105 and is like the only director at 100
That would be amazing.
to make a movie. I would love it. Anyway, enough with this stuff.
okay,
Let's get to the bustin'.
All right. Well, take yourself back to 1989.
Oh, yeah.
June 3rd, the world's first high-definition television test broadcast commenced in Japan in analog.
Interesting.
Yeah, high definition, 1989. That's how far ahead Japan was than us, which it wasn't for at least another 10 years.
No, I mean, it was funny. Like, do you remember, what was that movie with Ray Fiennes, that future, and Jennifer Lewis? It's it was like the futuristic movie thing, and all the TVs were
Strange Days.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't believe I remembered that.
That is a good pull.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was, and I remember they had the high definition TVs,
Yeah.
the letterbox TVs, and that, and everybody's
Yeah.
like, ooh.
I was around the late 90s. I was working at a TV station, and the engineer was trying to figure out how we're going to switch over to high definition stuff. So it's like, I mean, that was at least 10 years after this. So June 10th, United States Air Force Captain Jacqueline S. Parker graduated from the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School at Edwards Air Force Base, the first female pilot to do so.
Yeah, and now, starting next year, there will be no more women in military.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was, I'm glad it took until 1989. It lasted for about 35 years.
They had a good run.
Yeah.
They had a good run.
June 13th, aboard Air Force One, U.S. President Bush vetoed a bill passed by the U.S. Congress that would have increased the minimum wage to $4.55 an hour over 3 years. Bush claimed that raising the minimum wage from $4.25 would cause mass unemployment.
What an asshole. What an absolute
30 cents over
abject
3
asshole.
years.
My God. Yes, it is always the workers' fault.
30 cents an hour. It's, oh my God, it's going to ruin the economy.
I can't afford 30 cents an hour. I'm going to have to lay everybody off.
And then I don't have a business. Oh my God.
And isn't it only 7 something an hour now?
It's the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. 35 years later, it is literally $3 an hour more than it was in 1989.
Well, thank God, Adam, because it would lead to mass unemployment if it was over $8.
You see how bad the economy's done the last 35 years.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Ugh.
June 16th, Ghostbusters 2 is released in theaters.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
They call them Ghostbusters because in control. You start singing it, and I'm going to keep going. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
I love that song so much. It's so stupid. So Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters was released on June 8th, 1984, and made $296.6 million from a $25 to $30 million budget.
Yeah, it's a juggernaut.
That is a lot of money. A sequel was inevitable, despite the fact that the writers and director considered Ghostbusters to be a standalone project.
It was perfect. It was perfectly done. It didn't need a sequel, or it could have. I mean, it was fine.
Yes, this is how I look at Ghostbusters 2. I'm seeing some old friends again, and it's nice.
Yeah. No,
Not
it's a
always
good
happy
way.
with their choices, but you know.
Sometimes old friends can wear out their welcome.
It's true. David Putnam became chairman of Columbia Pictures in June 1986, but he was not interested in developing an expensive sequel and favored smaller films such as the critically acclaimed war film Hope and Glory in 1987 and the comedy film Bloodhounds of Broadway in 1989 over big-budget blockbusters.
Everybody's watching those movies every year.
Annually.
Hope and Glory is a good movie. I don't remember.
Bloodhounds of Broadway. I think I've seen either of these. I mean, I saw both of them, but I don't
many
remember.
There's Bullets over Broadway.
I know. Too many things
Bloodhounds
about
over
Broadway. Just let shows happen on Broadway. It's fine.
Moons over Miami. All sorts
yeah.
of stuff.
He also greenlit several foreign language films by European directors because he preferred making films for the quote-unquote world market.
All right. Putnam's
Sure.
got his S together. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I get what he's trying to do.
But it's also nice to have somebody in charge that wants quality over blue.
Yeah, sure. Ghostbusters was part of former Columbia executive Frank Price's legacy, and Putnam had no interest in furthering that legacy while building his own.
That is the worst
Story as old as time.
Every time a new studio head comes in, the first thing they do is scrap every project from the previous studio head.
Yeah, you can't. It has any stink of the previous studio head. Got to get rid of it.
And it's not even financial reasons or anything. It's just spite.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
It's a pissing contest. It's marking your territory, and it's ridiculous, and it's stupid, and it's all narcissism and hubris.
Well,
it has nothing to
yeah.
do with business. It's
To
just,
be a studio head, you have to be a sociopath.
oh yeah. I'm learning to be a billionaire, to be the head of anything really big, a CEO.
Yeah.
You really have to be a sociopath.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There are no good billionaires. Sorry.
No, if you've hoarded that much money, you are schmaug.
Schmaug. Yeah. That's true. You're just sitting on a pile of gold.
I mean, really, that's it. Like, what do you know?
Oh, if they only had one tiny little scale loose, we get that arrow in there.
Yeah, if only. Despite this, director Ivan Reitman later said the delay in development was not Putnam's fault.
Well, no, it's not.
Well, I mean, it kind of was.
Well,
It was partially.
yes, but the real delay has to do with the talent.
Of course.
And it's one piece of talent.
One big piece of
One
talent.
piece of work in particular.
He said that executives above Putnam at Columbia's New York branch had attempted to work around him, but could not get the production moving even after sidelining him.
See, that's when you're not a good leader.
Yeah.
If people want to get something done and you're not listening to them just because of your ego,
Well, exactly. I mean, he wants to do these like foreign movies and these smaller movies. That's fine.
Right.
But you got to have the tent poles to keep the studio running.
it's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
You got to have two or three. At this time, you'd have two or three big ones coming out.
Yeah.
And then you got your little ones. Now you got 5 or 6 big ones and then nothing else.
Right. No, they don't even bother with the
No.
little crumbs down below anymore.
They'll pick them up for some distribution
Yeah.
or whatever. But
if you're willing to put the money forward, they may give you a back end deal.
yeah, if you can secure a deal with Netflix,
Yeah.
we'll put a few bucks
Yeah,
in.
we'll put some.
and take all the money.
Yeah, exactly. According to Reitman, the delay occurred because the main actors did not want to make a sequel for nearly 3 years.
Huh? All of them?
All of them, yeah.
Weird.
They were all doing stuff. We're gonna go through what they were all doing.
All right,
they were
I'm
being
impatient.
busy. They were being busy. After the release of Ghostbusters, Dan Aykroyd found a little success, but could not replicate the juggernaut that was Ghostbusters.
I have always loved Dan Aykroyd, and mostly because of Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi were
Oh
my
yeah,
favorites.
Yeah. They were so good together.
favorites.
Yeah.
Blues Brothers is just
Yeah.
an absolutely amazing movie. And after, it was really hard because I have told this before on the show that John Belushi was my first real devastating
Right.
celebrity death.
Yeah.
Because he was not of my generation, but he was of my generation, of,
He's somebody that you looked up to.
exactly.
Yeah,
And I had comedy icons.
Right,
Comedy
right.
was so important to me back then. And he was just a juggernaut and one of the funniest human beings and one of the greatest physical comedians ever. And when he died, I felt so bad for Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
not only lost a comedy partner, he lost his best friend.
Best friend, yeah.
And I always rooted for him because
Yeah.
of that, and because I always really liked him too. He was the best player on Saturday Night Live. I mean, utility player.
Yeah.
Could do anything. He was the Phil Hartman of the original cast.
Right.
He was the guy that you give him anything, he can do it. And I always thought that Dan Aykroyd should have had a much bigger career, especially seeing him in My Girl.
Yeah.
Or Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where he is an exceptional actor. He's
a great actor, yeah.
An amazing comedian. And I a lot of times, I preferred his acting, quotey quotes, roles to his, like Caddyshack 2, my God,
Or
such a bad guy. It was just
nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble. We have to cover that.
I know,
movie.
we will.
Because that movie is insane.
It is insane.
Insane.
But that's part of the reason I love Aykroyd, because he was willing to take these weird-ass risks.
That's the thing. He's an absolute weirdo. He has no bones about it. That's one of the most charming things about him. He's on the spectrum. And,
he is, definitely.
Before people knew what that was,
yeah,
you could tell. And he loves the paranormal. And, and this was his dream to make these movies. And it's just, I think that the 80s, 90s kind of did him dirty because he didn't get...
Well, even Loose Cannons. Him in Loose Cannons. Like, he is a powerhouse of a performer.
Yes.
And amazing writer.
Right.
Like, he's just all around has always fascinated me.
There's just something about him that doesn't 100% click with a lot of people.
No,
and I don't know what it is. It's just silly.
Yeah. He had a supporting role in Into the Night with Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer, directed by John Landis, who had directed Trading Places.
Yeah, I think it was one of Michelle Pfeiffer's first movies.
I think it was.
I think her first was Grease 2.
Yes, I think you're right, because I think that was like 79 or 80 or something like that.
We've talked about this movie several times.
It was a box office and critical failure, unfortunately.
Weird movie. Jeff Goldblum plays the air traffic controller with insomnia.
Yes.
He comes home to take a nap, sees his wife having sex with somebody else. Instead of confronting them, just wanders off to the airport and gets into a weird diamond smoggling adventure with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. I mean, it sounds fascinating.
It's not bad. We got to cover these kind of milquetoast movies.
Yeah,
I got Milquetoast Movie Month.
Right.
And we'll throw that in there and see what happens.
He co-wrote Spies Like Us in 1985, a movie he'd been writing for years with John Belushi in mind for his co-star before his death.
Yeah.
John Belushi's going to be all over this.
Of course.
He shows up in many times.
Oh, yeah.
Belushi was replaced by Chevy Chase. It was also directed by John Landis. The movie was lambasted by the critics, but was a minor success at the box office.
I loved it.
It's a guilty pleasure for me.
I loved it when I was a kid.
It's goofy and weird. Yeah. I thought it was really funny.
It is. It's a Bob Hope.
Yeah.
And a Hope and Crosby road movie.
Yeah, Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Yeah. That's literally why he wrote it, because he was like, I want to do a road movie.
Exactly. And they were good together. It was really funny. And that's where he met his wife, too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, maybe, because she was also in Dr. Detroit. I'm not sure which one came first.
Oh, no, I think it was Dr. Detroit he met her on. Yeah.
But I forget her name.
I think that was like 87.
Yeah, she was one of the stars of Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're still together now?
Yeah. He co-wrote Dragnet in 1987, a parody modern adaptation of the Dragnet radio and TV series. He co-starred with Tom Hanks in this movie. The movie was a modest success and received Aykroyd's most favorable reviews since Ghostbusters.
Again, there was a miss. There was something off.
I was just going to say that. There was something off about that movie. Like, it seems like it should work, and it just kind of didn't.
I think it's... Honestly... Tom Hanks is the problem in this.
Probably,
in my opinion, because I think Aykroyd was perfect as Joe Friday's son or whatever, or nephew or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think he was Strebeck was the name of Hank's character, if I remember correctly. But Hanks was just too like meh, 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 and where Aykroyd was very committed to the role or whatever. It was a weird plot too, having to do with a cult and stuff.
It just didn't quite work.
But he was great.
Yeah.
And I guess we could throw that on the pile of them.
Oh yeah. I mean, at some point we'll cover it. Yeah. 1988 was a busy year for Aykroyd, appearing in 5 films. He co-starred with John Candy, Annette Bening, and Stephanie Faracy in The Great Outdoors, written by John Hughes.
Such a great, fun movie.
Love that movie. It is in my top 10 my favorite comedies of all time.
And he is so good with Candy.
Yes.
And his character is a
Roman
blowhard.
Craig. Roman Craig, he's such an asshole.
But he's also
But he's got heart.
Yeah, there's a likability to him.
But it's so great. Yeah. It has one of the best character arcs. Like, it's so great.
But he plays that, what are you doing there? What a big dumb you are. But I really, there's like a few of those Little John Candy movies.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that
Yeah.
and Summer Rental. And
Yeah.
that are just delightful little gems.
Oh, I love him. Great Outdoors. The Great Outdoors was a modest box office success. His character Roman Craig also had an uncredited cameo in She's Having a Baby, also written and directed by John Hughes.
That's a weird movie. I like it.
It's a weird movie. It has a lot of cameos from John Hughes actors in it.
The funniest scene in that movie is there's a flashback scene of Kevin Bacon, like in high school.
Yeah.
And they do something with his hair. And that little shot, and it's really him.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's in high school, is one of the funniest things ever. It's so great.
Unfortunately, the other three films that Aykroyd was in that year were terrible flops. The Couch Trip, co-starring Walter Matthau and Charles Grodin.
Yeah, another mental illness.
He plays a
movie.
mental patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but again, what a great cast.
Yeah. I know. It just that makes me sad because I don't think I've ever seen The Couch Trip.
I have. I remember liking it. I was very forgiving with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
And I was inherently wanted to like his movies.
It made about $11 million on a $19 million budget. My Stepmother is an Alien, co-starring Kim Basinger, John Lovitz, and Allison Hannigan.
From How I Met Your Mother.
It was, yes, How I Met Your Mother.
Buffy.
The movie was directed by Richard Benjamin and was originally a drama about child abuse, but the studio believed it would work better as a comedy.
Okay. A child abuse movie about aliens?
Somehow an executive read it and go,
What if there were aliens and it was a comedy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It made $13 million from a $19 million budget. It was not done well.
It was fine, again.
Yeah, again, I remember liking it,
Yeah.
like being like, oh, it was kind of entertaining.
They're just these like little popcorn movies. And
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
you watch and then you forget.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, that's right, I saw that.
Great little escape, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
These were your definite blockbuster rentals.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Caddyshack 2, the sequel no one wanted, in which Aykroyd has a cameo appearance.
Oh, I got a character who talk like this because I had his testicles removed, which is always really funny.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh.
I forgot that's why he talked like that.
Yeah.
It was written by Harold Ramis and allowed Aykroyd to reconnect with his Ghostbusters writing partner.
I do want to see this again.
I just remember Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. Hey. And then there was the cameo by Chevy Chase.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, you got to show me. You got to help me, Chevy.
Second. Yeah.
And Chevy Chase was like, I don't want to be here, and I'm definitely going to make it known.
It made $11.8 million from a $20 million budget. So, Aykroyd was kind of ready for another big hit. Harold Ramis mostly stuck to writing between the two movies. In 1986, he rewrote Back to School, starring Rodney Dangerfield.
I love that movie.
I love that movie. It's so good.
Yeah, what was it? The Lindy twist? What was
The
it?
Lindy Hop.
that's a dance.
Triple Lindy twist.
Yeah, the triple Lindy, I think.
Yeah. It was a box office hit, making more than $100 million.
Yeah, it was. I got no respect. Yeah.
So good in that.
The
He's
box
so
office, no
funny.
respect.
He also wrote Armed and Dangerous, which had a tumultuous production. It was originally developed as a vehicle for Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, with John Carpenter attached to direct.
Ooh, I would have loved to see that.
Oh, God, I would have loved to have seen that. Carpenter dropped out when Aykroyd insisted that the movie culminate with a car chase.
Okay. So car chases were keen back then.
Producer Brian Grazer resurrected it with John Candy and Tom Hanks to star, but then Hanks dropped out. Candy recommended Eugene Levy, who we all know from SCTV.
It was weird, man. You're going to get into it, but there was all these comedies that it seemed like, well, we can't get into it. Let's just throw the SCTV guys.
Yeah,
Let's just get Flaherty and Moranis and
go to
Landis.
Discount Canada and pull in all these comedians.
Yeah, who are hilarious, by the way.
They're very good. They're very good.
I would. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I think SCTV was a better show than Saturday Night Live.
I actually agree.
It was much more. It was much clever.
Yeah. Ramis said the film
Was not called. I tried to take my name off it. I took my name off in one place.
referring to his executive producer credit, which was removed prior to release. Ramis is still credited as a screenwriter despite his objections. They didn't. He didn't have anything to do with it after Grazer, resurrected it. It was just well, I guess I'm going to get paid for this. But,
It was thin.
It was just not the movie. It wasn't a movie that he wanted to see made.
Oh, man. And poor Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost every performance he did or everything he was in up until the Christopher Guest movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did him dirty, man. He was
Yeah.
just always the nerd or the weirdo and he played it so well.
He did.
But he was relegated to the most unlikable
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
unpopular parts. That poor son of a bitch was saddled with garbage for so long that we didn't know how great he was.
No, that's true. He's also, Eugene Levy was the very first celebrity I ever saw in person.
He was so goddamn good on SCTV.
Yeah.
So good. I watch clips of that all the time.
He's great. He's great. He's funny. He's so funny.
Brilliant. His son is brilliant. He's brilliant. Sean Levy, is that his son?
Sean, yeah.
Oh, man. Just a very talented family.
Yeah. He also, Club Paradise, which he also directed and co-wrote with Brian Doyle Murray.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater.
It starred
Robin Williams, Twiggy, Peter O'Toole, Jimmy Cliff, Andrea Martin, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, Joe Flaherty, and Robin Duke.
Bill Murray was actually offered the lead, but turned it down.
Well, it was weird. I love Jimmy Cliff. He's a reggae singer, and he was in The Harder They Come was the name of the movie he was in.
Yeah.
That kind of made him. He and Robin Williams are like these buddies running this island. And with all these jerky tourists.
Yeah.
It just was so weird.
Again, didn't really work.
But I did like... So Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis were like these two yuppies.
Yeah.
And they want to get pot and get laid. And so the entire... They're in Jamaica, too, by the way.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is they're trying to get pot, and they end up getting this giant bag of pot. That's all I remember about this movie is they're finding pot and then hooking up with Robin Duke and Andrea Martin.
Oh, all right.
And, and them trying to, like... But it was just, again... It was a movie that was schizophrenic. It didn't know what it wanted to be. Right. And the poor actors were caught in the crosshairs and were... told bigger, and they just come across as poor Andrea Martin just does not come off good in this movie. Unfortunately, these movies that we're talking about that were populated by a lot of SCTV people, they just were not good.
No, because they didn't have and not saying anything about SCTV, but they could hire them for cheaper.
But that's what I'm saying.
So these movies that had no budget, they were like, oh yeah, let's get these guys.
Andrea Martin.
Yeah.
We'll get Saturday Night Live.
They'll do it. They don't know any better.
And instead of utilizing the incredible talents that they have,
they would just give them crappy scripts.
Yeah, and just like these caricature parts that there's nothing you could do with them.
One of the writers credited on the film of Club Paradise, Ed Roboto, is a pseudonym for Harry Shearer, who was asked to do a rewrite with Tom Leopold, his writing partner.
Yes.
Only 2 words of what the 2 writers wrote ended up in the film, the title.
I was going to say, the end.
Shearer commented that he was...
so appalled by the movie.
That he removed his name from the credits.
Yeah. And then he went on to be...
and then literally within a year, he was on The Simpsons.
And that's all. And then he was set for the rest of
forever.
His entire family was set for generations.
Club Paradise made $12.3 million from a $19 million budget.
Got my $5.
So, again, just not really,
But that was the time when I would see anything that Robin Williams was in.
I mean, it's not like, there were so few movies coming out that you could literally see everything.
And man, did Robin Williams make a ton of horrible movies.
Bad movies.
Just bad. I wonder what was going on with these agents, with these comedy stars. It's just,
I think it was cocaine.
Well, cocaine really effed with comedy back in the 80s and 90s.
Really did.
Or 70s and 80s. 80s.
The 80s.
Cocaine was helpful in the 70s. But then everybody had a problem by the 80s.
Right.
And then that's just when we needed rehab.
It all went downhill, Bill Murray had agreed to work on Ghostbusters to secure financing for the Razor's Edge, a pet project that Murray was determined to make.
He had all of these kind of pet projects he had Where the Buffalo Roam, where he was playing... Hunter S. Thompson.
Right.
And then this...
The dramatic part he sought on The Razor's Edge had originally been written for John Belushi before his death.
And that's why he killed him.
Yeah.
Many people say that Bill Murray killed John Belushi because of this part. He gave him the hot shot. That's what they call it, a hot shot, Adam.
Aykroyd had originally written the character of Dr. Peter Venkman for John Belushi before his death and rewrote the movie when Murray signed on.
Man, there was a lot of stuff that was written for John Belushi that got rewritten.
I know. It's sad. Everybody wanted to work with him.
Well, it also seems like, if we can't get Belushi, we might as well get Bill Murray.
Bill Murray,
because they're so similar.
They are. With the major success of Ghostbusters, The Razor's Edge was released, but was a box office flop. Frustrated over the failure of The Razor's Edge, Murray stepped away from acting for 4 years to study philosophy and history at Sorbonne University, frequent the Cinémathèque in Paris, and to spend time with his family in their Hudson River Valley home.
He was a bit of a snob. at this point in his career.
Bit of a pill.
A bit of a bitter pill, yes. And Razor's Edge was not good.
No.
It was not a well-done movie. And people, I'm sorry, Bill Murray,
Yeah.
but people don't want to see you that way.
No. They really don't.
You know?
They really
And
don't.
that's just the unfortunate nature of the
it's
business.
just the truth.
You're a movie star. At least at this point.
Yeah,
You're a
yeah.
comedic movie star. And you tried with Where the Buffalo Roam, and that didn't do well.
Yeah.
And then you tried again with this.
No, and it just didn't work.
Nobody wants to see it, Bill.
During that time, a second son, Luke, was born. Literally had no idea that Bill Murray had kids.
Yeah, me neither.
With the exception of a cameo in Little Shop of Horrors in 1986, he made no film appearances, but participated in public readings in Manhattan, organized by playwright-director Timothy Mayer, and in a stage production of Bertolt Brecht's A Man's a Man.
I do respect Bill Murray's choices. I think,
Sure.
in terms of celebrity, he's one of the guys that I really enjoy his celebrity.
Yeah.
Because he has fun with it
Yeah.
to the point where it's just fun for him.
Yeah.
Especially with Letterman or Conan O'Brien or those guys. He would always be game to come out and do something really funny or something goofy.
Right.
And he just, on his own terms, basically, the guy would show up at a frat party.
Yeah,
He's just walking around. He hears a party. He shows
Yeah,
up at a wedding,
yeah.
whatever. Hey, Bill Murray's here.
Yeah,
And he's just
yeah.
a fun guy. He
just
just
around.
seems like a fun, interesting dude that is taking advantage of the absurdity of his existence.
Right.
And navigating it in a really fun and interesting way.
I don't remember when exactly, but I know at some point he stopped having an agent.
Yeah.
I think it was after Ghostbusters 2.
He has an 800 number.
And he just has a number you call and leave a message, and he may show up, he may not.
Exactly. The best is Wes Anderson,
Yeah,
who he
yeah.
does all of Wes Anderson's movies. He's like, well, I still can't get a hold of him.
Yeah, it's like a call. I leave a voicemail.
He may show up. He may
I
not
may
show
get a
up.
call back. I don't know.
Well, he's at the, whatever he wants
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
he
I
can
mean,
do.
whatever. It's his thing.
And really, Wes Anderson is really proven what an amazing actor Bill Murray is.
Completely.
Rushmore is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And his performance in that is so layered.
Yeah.
And so goddamn good. It's just,
He's a great actor.
he's an amazing dude. And, weird or whatever, you got to be that way.
Yeah.
That's just who he is. He's a quirky
He is.
quirky
He's just
guy.
a weird, quirky guy.
Nobody is a more charming a-hole
Yeah, that's true.
than him.
That is
And
true.
he's the most charming a-hole that ever lived.
That's true. So Reitman only directed 2 films during the interim between Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Legal Eagles in 1986, starring Robert Redford, Deborah Winger, and Daryl Hannah.
Oh, I saw that in the theater.
It was written by Jim Cash and Jack Epps Jr., who wrote Top Gun, based on a story by Reitman.
Yeah.
The film was originally meant for Dustin Hoffman and Bill Murray, but Murray declined.
Yeah. I was going to do it with Murray. I was going to work with Murray.
Redford had met Reitman for another project and expressed interest in doing a romantic comedy, so Reitman turned Legal Eagles into a Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy type film.
Well, he tried to.
Yeah, I know. I'm not
Unsuccessfully.
saying he was completely successful in this. Reitman said...
It was easier getting Redford than it was getting Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he has agents and like,
Redford was like, I'm interested in projects.
yeah, and Redford was also at this point in his career, he wanted to branch out and try different new things.
Yeah. Legal Eagles would go on to make nearly $100 million in the box office, but from a $40 million budget, one of the most expensive romantic comedies made up to that point.
And it wasn't very good. And unfortunately, he and Deborah Winger didn't have that great a chemistry.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole thing. Because I think they were representing Daryl Hannah for a murder or something.
I honestly don't remember.
The only thing I remember from that movie is there's a scene of them like talking on the phone and going through the case or whatever, and one of them is doing one of those kunk, kunk, those paddles with the ball on the.
yeah.
It was him. He was doing
the
paddle ball with the string on it.
the-
thing.
yeah, yeah,
The
the-
ka-chunk, ka-chunk,
yeah,
ka-chunk,
I don't
ka-chunk.
remember what those
And he
called.
did it really well. I was like, that's impressive.
That's
all I
what you
remember.
took away from this movie.
He did that paddle ball.
Robert
thing really
Redford
good.
can do anything.
Yeah, he did, except for make that movie good.
Yeah, well, yeah. Reitman also directed Twins in 1988, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Oh,
It was Arnie's first major comedy, and the 3 main players, Arnie, DeVito, and Reitman, decided to split 40% of the film gross rather than take their usual paychecks.
it was a very good idea.
Very good idea. The movie would make $216 million from an $18 million budget, giving the 3 main players the highest paychecks of their career.
It was also my first romantic kiss on screen.
Was it?
Yeah, I was kissing John Travolta's wife.
Oh, that's right.
She's dead now.
Kelly Preston.
Very sad, Kelly Preston.
Wow. Way to bring the room down, Arnie.
She had many capabilities.
Being alive was not one of them. By the time Reitman, Aykroyd, and Ramis decided to go ahead with Ghostbusters 2, Murray was committed to his starring role in the Christmas comedy film Scrooged.
I love that movie.
I love that movie so much. Definitely my probably top 5 favorite comedy.
Another Richard Donner movie.
Dick Donner's great. When Murray was finally ready, unfortunately the script was not. As co-creators, Reitman, Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis all had control over the franchise, and their unanimous approval was required to proceed.
Yeah.
Aykroyd described his first draft as
Really too far out, too inaccessible.
he wanted to avoid using New York City, set the film overseas, and provide a contrast to the first film's climax atop a skyscraper by including a subterranean threat.
I dig it. I think that's great.
Actually, the concept I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
The draft followed Dana Barrett, who is kidnapped and taken to Scotland, where she discovers a fairy ring, a naturally occurring ring or arc of mushrooms, sometimes linked in folklore to fairies or witches, and an underground civilization.
Sounds really fun so far.
Sounds interesting.
It's like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the Ghostbusters would have had to travel through an underground pneumatic tube over 2,000 miles long that would have taken 3 days to traverse. He eventually decided that retaining the New York setting would allow for continuity and would better fit the story he wanted to tell while allowing them to explore underground.
It's kind of a shame because, man, Aykroyd's first drafts are so wackadoo, man.
Oh, I know,
It's
I
so
know.
cool. Like the
So
original
out there.
Ghostbusters
Yeah.
idea is just crazy. I think the realization of that craziness
Yeah.
was nothing but trouble.
Yes, that was finally the, hey, it's perfect. We don't need to do rewrites. This is perfect.
No training wheels on that one. And it was
Who's going to play the judge? Well, I will.
I'll play everybody.
In April 1987, Putnam announced that Ghostbusters 2 would go into production in November that year without having informed Reitman, who had not yet reviewed the unfinished script.
Yep.
Putnam was removed from his job in September. This was in part because he had alienated Murray and his talent agent, Michael Ovitz.
Yeah, not smart. Especially Michael Ovitz.
Michael Ovitz. Whew. Putnam had publicly criticized Murray as
An actor who makes millions of dollars from Hollywood without giving back to his art. He's a taker.
okay. Well, I mean, technically, he made the studio money. Like, I don't.
He's just bitchy because he doesn't like to do press and he likes to do
Yeah.
things on his own terms.
Yeah.
And he can't be controlled.
Yeah.
He's just basically saying he doesn't fall in line like everybody else should.
Right. Putnam also attacked expensive talent agency packages that provided scripts, directors, and stars. Ironically, Michael Ovitz also represented Aykroyd, Ramis, and Reitman, so they were all together. He just managed to piss everybody off.
Well, this was a time where the studios were losing control because the agents were king at
Michael
this point.
Ovitz was kind of the granddaddy
Yeah,
of
he
control.
and Brian Grazer,
Yeah.
and there were these. Everybody was like, "Oh, the Gersh Agency." Oh,
Yeah.
William Morris.
Yeah.
For the first time, we as consumers were aware of who agents were.
Right.
And they were becoming stars in their own right.
Yeah, because the stars were so big, and then it was like, well, yeah, they controlled way more than they probably
And the agency doing the packaging, they were getting the money,
Right.
and the studios, this isn't far gone, maybe 20 years from the
Yeah.
end of the studio system.
Yeah, if even that. Yeah.
So it's like, they want to maintain control and monetary control, and
Right,
everybody,
right.
well, if everybody's getting points and everybody's getting this and that,
Yeah.
well, that's cutting into our bottom line.
Yeah. What is that going to do for us? Yeah.
And the thing is, people, there's enough money to go around for everybody.
It's crazy. It's
everybody.
crazy. Everybody.
Especially
can
the
get paid.
crew,
Yeah.
who does get paid well, but,
There's money. There's enough money in these movies for everybody.
Yes.
Putnam was replaced as Columbia president by Dawn Steele. When she took the job, her corporate bosses made it clear that getting the sequel into production was a priority.
Priority number one.
Columbia had experienced a long series of box office failures since Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters 2 was seen as the best way to save the studio. Movies like Ishtar, considered to be one of the biggest box office flops of all time, Leonard Part 6, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen all cost the studio a lot of money.
I love The Adventures of Baron.
I agree. I think to me, it's a perfect movie.
It's brilliant.
But I totally
absolutely
get
brilliant.
how it did not appeal to a lot of people.
Oh my God, it's so complicated. About a liar, a professional.
Yeah, it's so great.
It was crazy. But it was really good. What were the other two?
Ishtar and Leonard Part 6.
Ishtar isn't as bad as everybody says it is. It was the dream team of Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
And again, it was another road movie. They were doing.
Right.
Everybody was trying to bring back Hope and Crosby.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad movie. It just didn't click. It didn't.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't know what to do with these guys. They threw them together. And it's so funny that back then, every dream team up, whether it was these guys or Burt Reynolds and Clint Eastwood, they always screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
They were always disappointed.
They didn't. Yeah.
You know, we waited forever, and then because it was so bad, it never happened again.
Right.
Just,
That's
why Gen X is okay with disappointment. We've lived with it all of our lives.
You don't want to comment on Leonard Part 6?
Yeah, that
is just a terrible movie.
Every movie that Bill Cosby made after 1975 was horrible.
Yeah. It was such an ill-conceived, awful movie.
Well, they all were. Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad.
This, I can't even remember any other ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they gave up after Ghost Dad.
I think after Ghost Dad, that was like early 90s, and they were like, Ray, you stick to TV.
You're a TV guy now. Rapey Jones.
By November, filming was scheduled to begin in summer the following year. At the time, Murray reportedly wanted $10 million to star in the sequel, and his co-stars demanded an equal amount.
All right, good for them.
They did not get the $10 million. The main obstacle was the disputes between the principal cast and crew that had arisen since Ghostbusters. Ramis later said,
there was a little air to clear
before they could work together.
Yeah, look, these guys have known each other forever.
Yeah.
And they've worked together forever. And
they're all headstrong.
Exactly.
I mean,
they're going to have, look, as somebody who was in a comedy group, 3 other insecure, headstrong, smart people.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to get along, and especially when you're making art, man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to actually have a finished product at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scrapes and screams and tears before you get there.
Yeah. In March 1988, Ovitz arranged a private lunch for himself, Murray, Aykroyd, Ramis, Reitman, and Ovitz's colleague, CAA head of business affairs Ray Kurtzman, at Jimmy's, a celebrity restaurant in Beverly Hills, California.
You ever been to Jimmy's?
I've never been to Jimmy's. Is this still there?
I don't know if it's still there.
I don't think it is, but I could be wrong.
I had a friend who would come visit LA, a couple of friends, and they would always want to hit.
Oh, Jimmy's.
Well, no, just the big spots.
The big, yeah.
So I would always go with them to wherever, and I do remember going to Jimmy's, and just like every other place, overrated.
Yeah, of course. There were concerns about whether the cast could carry a movie again with Murray's absence from movies and Aykroyd's string of box office flops. But during the meeting, the group had fun and decided they could work together again.
This is fun. Let's do it.
Yeah. Months of negotiations followed with Reitman, Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis to negotiate a minimal salary in exchange for a percentage of the box office profits, similar to what Reitman did with Arnie and DeVito on Twins. The deal was reported to be 10% of the box office profits each. Reitman denied that the figure was that large, but said,
well, it's a big one.
Yeah. They got a lot of money out of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this was the beginning, too, of that. Like,
yeah.
I think the real change, I think when this actually became a thing was with Jack Nicholson on Batman.
Yeah.
Because he made so much money off of Batman by taking a percentage that people are like, that's not a bad idea.
Well, Twins was the first time that a group, essentially collectively had gotten together. And Arnie, we've talked about this before, and Arnie was like, that changed my entire career.
Yeah.
He was like, that changed my business. That's how I did things from then on. And if he was doing it, everybody else was going to do it.
As soon as the big guys do it, everybody else falls in line.
Yeah. Partly, this was to keep the budget low, aiming for approximately $30 million, whereas upfront salaries would have raised it closer to $50 million.
Okay.
So after this, the film was rushed into production, with shooting scheduled for mid-1988 in anticipation of a mid-1989 release.
Again, always a mistake to put a release date before the movie is even in production.
Yeah. Despite the 5 years it took to produce the sequel and its necessity for special effects, Ghostbusters II had a shorter schedule than its predecessor's 1-year turnaround.
Yeah, and this is a time where effects, these aren't computer effects, man. This is all...
Oh, yeah.
This is all matte paintings
yeah.
and models, and it takes... Look, time. I'm not saying that computer effects don't take a long time
It doesn't at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
But there are so many different moving parts.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Effects back
It's
then,
a lot. And we'll touch on that again. But it's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So along with the main 3 actors, the show started casting. Sigourney Weaver returned as Dana Barrett.
She had to read 6 times to get that role again. That's how much dicks they were.
She was really busy in between the 2 films. In 1985, she appeared in One Woman or Two in a French language role opposite Gerard Depardieu and Dr. Ruth Westheimer.
The dream team.
That's my comedy duo.
That's very good. So, Gerard Depardieu, why do you pee on plane?
Oh, because I want to. I'm gross. Blah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm what the troll would look like if he came to life.
Wow, it's like he's in the room.
Except you can't smell him. Ugh, can you imagine that smell?
No.
Oh.
In 1986, she starred in Half Moon Street, which gave her rave reviews but was a box office flop.
That was a really good movie. And this was also like her renaissance, man. This was when she was just couldn't make a bad movie.
Yeah. That same year, she reprised the role of Ellen Ripley in Aliens, which earned her a Best Actress nomination, but she lost to Marlee Matlin for Children of a Lesser God.
Yeah.
I always forget that she was nominated for an Oscar for Aliens.
She should have been.
I know. It's just that it's so odd to hear a sci-fi movie getting accolades from the Academy.
But it's such a great performance.
It is.
It is
I mean,
a tour de
great.
force.
I mean, she's phenomenal.
To have that amazing a performance in an action movie,
Yeah.
that's what made this movie great.
Yeah. In 1988, she appeared in 2 movies, Gorillas in the Mist as Diane Fossey, earning her another Best Actress nomination, losing to Jodie Foster for The Accused.
Yeah, Jodie Foster had that locked up, though, man. The Accused is such a brutal movie.
Yeah.
And it's based on a awful true story.
Yeah. So is Gorillas in the Mist.
It is, but it's not as bad.
Not as awful.
Yeah, because you know what? Gorillas are better than men.
Yeah, that's true. I'd rather meet a gorilla in the jungle.
There we go. Let's start that one.
Yeah. Working Girl with Harrison Ford, earning her a Best Supporting Actress nomination, losing to Gina Davis for The Accidental Tourist.
Both great movies. I love Working Girl.
Working Girl's great.
It's.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in years. It's probably so 80s dated.
I'm sure it is.
But
a lot of shoulder pads.
But it was also one of the first kind of comedy Harrison Ford movies where he's a little bit looser and lighter.
Not taking himself too seriously.
Yeah.
Weaver was only the 5th actor to be nominated twice in the same year, but the first to win neither.
It's a crime. It is a crime.
I know. She did win 2 Golden Globes that year for the 2 movies, the first actor to ever do so.
Who gives a crap? Golden Globes.
Look, man, it's accolades. They are no better or no worse than the Academy.
Right? Well, because they're all garbage.
They're all pointless.
You don't give awards for art.
I am just going off the barometer of Hollywood. That's why I include this stuff.
Silly.
Yeah. Weaver would reprise her role of Dana Barrett in small mid-credits cameo in Ghostbusters Afterlife in 2021.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you remember that. It was such a horrible throwaway thing. People were so mad because they wanted her to come back.
Yeah.
And then it's essentially the mid-credits scene. She's not coming back to any of the movies. Like, it's weird.
I don't even remember it.
She was doing something else. I don't remember. But it was like, I read so many articles. People were so mad about the fact that they were like, they screwed it up. Dana Barrett should have come back.
Because she should have.
I know. She is very, very busy, having appeared in the Avatar franchise with the 3rd Avatar movie, Fire and Ash, coming in 2025.
Allegedly.
And the 4th movie coming in 2029.
God, those movies are never going to stop.
And guess what? There's going to be one more after that. There's going to be 5. The 5th one is the one that's going to be set on Earth.
I'm going to be a senior citizen.
I'm going to be a senior citizen by the time they come out. Yeah. She'll also be seen in what will be Jim's favorite movie of 2025, The Gorge, directed by Scott Derrickson, who directed The Black Phone, co-starring Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy.
I love The Black Phone.
I know.
Just because of Miles Teller, right?
Yeah. And you're not a big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, I like Anya Taylor-Joy.
Okay. Sorry, for some reason I didn't think you did.
No, I do. I like her.
Okay.
Miles Teller is just.
Yeah.
Okay, I have. We talk about talent crushes all the time.
Yeah.
I have an unfair opposite of that.
Right.
Called, let's call it talent disdain. I don't know, until we come up with a better name.
Haterade.
And, oh, God. But, it's, I don't think it's fair. Look, Eddie Redmayne, for all intents and purposes, is a great actor. Can't watch him in anything. Can't even watch him in interviews. And it's not his fault. But Miles Teller, too. It's mostly Miles Teller. His interviews when he was younger and stuff. I'm sure he's a fine person. It's the reason why I don't like to know anything about actors.
I know. He has The only movie I've ever really liked him in was Whiplash.
Whiplash, yep.
And it was a brilliant movie,
Yep.
and that had nothing to really do with him. It could have probably been anybody.
No, got to give him credit. He played the drums. He worked his ass off on that. movie.
Sure, but anybody, I feel like somebody else would have done it.
Sure.
I mean, nobody could play J.K. Simmons.
No.
Nobody could do that but J.K. Simmons. But like in the new Top Gun movie, Miles Teller was just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
And I was like, it doesn't seem like you're really acting. He just doesn't seem like somebody I'd ever want to hang out with.
No.
Like, he's not charming to me. And like,
No.
he's got a very thin, like,
Wheelhouse.
section of what he's good at.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and it's
don't-
being a jerk.
it's being a jerk. And that makes me sad.
Yeah.
Because
Hopefully he's a good dude, and this will
I
be a
hope
good
so.
movie.
I hope so.
And I look. The Black Phone starred a guy that I used to
That's true.
absolutely
That is true.
despise.
maybe it's Scott Derrickson. Maybe he's the magic
Yeah,
that will
well,
make a Miles Teller better.
I was already starting to warm
I
up
know,
to
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, but
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke was great in Black
Yeah.
Phone. Black Phone was a very Stephen King-y
I still
movie.
haven't seen The Black Phone yet. I still need to watch it.
I really enjoyed it.
So The Gorge will be released on Apple TV Plus sometime in 2025.
And it's just about a bunch of people getting together and eating and
So
eating
much
and
eating. Yeah.
And then at one point, Sigourney Weaver goes,
God.
Oh, it's a gorge. My belly's a gorge.
She was also cast in The Mandalorian and Grogu, the feature film from Jon Favreau in the Star Wars franchise, set to be released in 2026.
what an absolutely creative title.
I don't know what the movie's about.
They stretched for that one. But they're not doing another series now, I don't think.
Oh no, I think The Mandalorian's done. She will also be in Dust Bunny, the first feature film from Brian Fuller, who created the TV shows Pushing Daisies and Hannibal, co-starring Mads Mikkelsen and David Dastmalchian.
That's the one I'm most
That I'm so excited. Brian Fuller is a genius.
absolute genius. Hannibal was hands down one of the greatest series.
Oh, fantastic.
that I've
Mads
seen in the last 10
Mikkelsen
years.
is so good in that. So The Dust Bunny is about an 8-year-old girl who asks her neighbor for help to kill the monster under her bed who ate her family.
Awesome. I'm in. 100%.
100% in. I am doing all the research on Sigourney Weaver. She has had the most interesting career.
Oh, yeah.
She makes such interesting choices. The fact that she's in these giant movies like Avatar
Yeah.
and Aliens, the Alien series, but still, because after Aliens, every movie after that, she was a producer
Yeah.
on the Alien movies. Like, she is just so brilliant. She's
smart.
Huge talent crush.
Yeah, and I watch anything. We talked a couple of years ago about, I forget the name of it, the movie that was dealing with abortion.
Yeah.
When it was still illegal,
Right.
and these women learned how to perform abortions.
Right.
And started their own clinics, basically.
Right.
And she was a major part of that and was absolutely brilliant. And
She's just great.
she's at the point where it's just what she wants to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, she's been there for a while. But it's great. She makes great choices.
Agreed.
Rick Moranis returned as Louis Tully.
Oh, hey there, I'm Louis Tully. I don't know, I'm feeling a little weird.
It really makes me sad. They cut out a whole subplot of his that I wish that they had, where he's fighting Slimer. It's like constantly going back to him fighting Slimer in the firehouse.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
It's like a Warner Brothers cartoon.
Yeah, and it culminates with him. That's why he's in the suit and stuff at the end, where he shoots at the museum. It's all covered. Like, that was the culmination of that subplot.
Well, it gets in the bus with Slimer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got your license. Okay, I'll get in.
Moranis appeared in a number of movies in the interim between the two movies. In '85, he had a small part in Brewster's Millions, starring Richard Pryor and John Candy.
So they didn't know what to do. Poor
That was another one. Yeah.
man, they just cut the balls off of Richard Pryor and put him in
Yeah.
like the worst PG comedies.
Oh yeah.
Like this and The Toy.
Oh, but I love The Toy.
Everybody
it's so
loves The
bad.
Toy.
It's so bad. It's not. It's just
No,
does not
it's a
fly.
horribly racist movie about a rich racist, in all intents and purposes, purchasing a black man for his child.
Yeah.
But they all learn lessons, so it's okay. But just poor, from being the greatest stand-up ever.
Yeah.
And his stand-up movies, I saw them all in the theaters and all brilliant. It was just so disappointing to see a lot of the movies that they threw him in.
Yeah.
It was just, he's not a kids movie guy. But
no.
he did some great movies
He
with
did.
Gene
He
Wilder,
did.
that's for sure.
That same year, Moranis also had a small part in Head Office, starring Judge Reinhold and Eddie Albert.
Barely remember that.
It holds the distinction of being one of the few movies with a 0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Man,
Yay!
poor Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
That's another guy
Another
that
guy,
they
he got
done dirty. Did not know what to do with him.
Yeah. In 1986, Moranis was in the ill-conceived Club Paradise and played the lead of Seymour in the film adaptation of the 1982 musical Little Shop of Horrors, which was based on the 1960 Roger Corman movie.
Which was not a musical.
No, it was not. It went from movie to musical to movie, and it's been revived a number of times.
And now it's a Broadway musical.
And I think that they're going to be doing the Broadway musical as a musical in a movie. I'm pretty sure.
That's like Hairspray.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Great
It doesn't-
movie.
yeah.
And then they made it again because it was...
Yep.
Not everything needs to be a musical, everyone.
Yeah.
Not everything needs to be a musical.
Can I see Wicked, please stand up?
I also love that the fact that one of your favorite movies of all times is a musical. Grease.
Yeah, I know. I watched that on Thanksgiving.
Oh, Sandy.
It's great. In 1987, he was in Spaceballs, one of his most remembered roles.
Use the Schwartz.
Please listen to our Spaceballs episode because we cover it a lot deeper in that.
Yeah, and we'd like the listens.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a fun episode. In 1989, along with Ghostbusters II, Moranis also appeared in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which had 2 sequels.
I really like the first one.
The first movie's really fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. In 1991, 5 years after his marriage to Ann Blesky and 2 kids later, Ann unfortunately died from cancer.
That is so sad.
Sad, man.
Wasn't Honey, I Shrunk the Kids like the first for-purchase VHS tape?
That actually sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think you're right,
I remember
yeah.
buying it.
First
Anyway,
one,
sorry.
yeah.
Way to interrupt
Yeah.
the poor death of his wife with
That literally changed his entire life.
Let's still talk box office.
Moranis continued to work for a while, but after the 1997 movie Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, Moranis decided that raising 2 kids and trying to have a career in Hollywood was too much, so he quietly started turning down parts.
Yeah, well, that was bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were still making money. Like the 2 other Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves movies or whatever.
not bad.
They made money.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
fine.
He has said that he isn't retired. He's just much more selective about his choice of movies he'll work in. Since 1997, he has only appeared in 3 movies, all doing voiceover. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and The Island of Misfit Toys in 2001.
Yes, I can understand why he wanted to do that one.
I'm sure it was for his kids. And then Brother Bear in 2003 and Brother Bear 2 in 2006.
Brother Bear.
Yeah, it's about
Oh, hey, brother, I'm a wrestler.
Yeah, Hulk
Bearmania.
Hulk Hogan, sure. He has agreed to reprise his role of Wayne Slazinski in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise, a legacy sequel/reboot for Disney Plus called Shrunk, starring Josh Gad.
Okay, I like Josh Gad.
He's hit and miss with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moranis agreed in January of 2020, and then the COVID-19 pandemic derailed the production.
And also Josh Gad's career.
Yeah.
Kind of hit a
In
snag.
2023, the movie was put on hold indefinitely. So he actually has agreed to come back. The project's not happening.
All right. Get on it, people. We need some Moranis.
Yeah. Ernie Hudson returned as Winston Zeddemore.
Yeah.
Hudson had a rocky career after the first Ghostbusters film, appearing in 3 TV movies, doing a bunch of guest TV spots and a handful of features. Hudson wasn't really given a fair shake in Hollywood. He auditioned to reprise the role of Winston Zeddemore for the animated series The Real Ghostbusters, but it was given to Arsenio Hall.
Okay. That's awful, but Arsenio Hall was a huge star back then.
He started the part.
I know.
He should have done it.
Oh, I know. Look, I know.
I understand. I totally understand.
But that's just how awful
That
the
is
business
just-
is.
Hollywood is
Yeah.
awful.
They're horrible. There's no loyalty.
Ernie Hudson's amazing.
Yes.
And he's just like getting crapped on constantly.
And he has persevered and come
yeah.
up on top.
Oh,
because
yeah,
that
yeah.
MFer is still doing great work.
He is doing great work. And he
looks amazing.
He's almost 80. And he looks so good.
Looks younger than me.
He does. He does. He
Looks
really
younger
does.
than you.
He does. He really does. Since Hudson has settled into a good career of being a supporting player in major features and doing some great work in TV. For features, he's appeared in
The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Congo, The Basketball Diaries, The Crow, and Miss Congeniality.
on TV. He appeared in
Oz, ER, The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Meteor, Transformers Prime, Franklin and Bash, Mob City, Grace and Frankie, The Family Business, and Quantum Leap.
He was so good in Quantum Leap.
He was great in Quantum Leap, and he was also great in The Basketball Diaries, which
Yeah.
is a very underrated
Yeah.
movie. Not a great adaptation of, I think it's John Carroll. Is it John Carroll, the poet? He wrote The Basketball Diaries.
That sounds right.
It's something Carroll.
Ernie Hudson also appeared in the 2016 reboot Ghostbusters as Leslie Jones's uncle.
Yep.
Before reprising the role of Winston Zeddemore in Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Yeah.
They definitely, this is one of my favorite things about the 2 new Ghostbusters movies, because they made Ernie Hudson essentially like a billionaire. Like whatever he did in the interim, he made a ton of money, and he was very successful.
Yeah, and he bankroll the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Annie Potts returned as Janine Melnitz.
Janine Melnitz.
Potts mainly appears in supporting roles in films, including Pretty in Pink and Jumping Jack Flash in 1986.
Oh, she's so good in Pretty in Pink.
So good.
So
She's
amazing.
great. She's great in everything. The Man Who Fell to Earth, a TV movie in 1987. Pass the Ammo in 1988 with Bill Paxton, which we talked about during our Brain Dead episode.
Yes.
Who's Harry Crumb with John Candy in 1989.
Yeah.
I know.
That's not bad. Is that the one where he's a detective?
Yeah.
And goes into a coma and then is in the soap opera?
I think he's a writer, and then he goes in. Yeah, he's in a coma, and he thinks that or something. I might be confusing the two. There's 2 movies that are very similar.
Weird, vaguely similar John
Yeah.
Candy movies. Ugh.
She has had a long career in TV as well. She appeared in 163 episodes of Designing Women from 1986 to 1993.
With Meshach Taylor.
Meshach Taylor. 44 episodes of Love and War from 93 to 95. And most recently, 143 episodes of Young Sheldon from 2017 to 2024.
I had such a crush on her.
Oh.
I just thought she was the cutest.
I did too, until she was in this movie, because she looked so weird in this movie.
Well, this movie suffers from the cartoon.
I know. The look for Janine Melnitz was drastically changed from the first movie to make her appear more like the real Ghostbusters character. The animated movie, I don't even remember if I ended up talking about it, but the animated show started in like 86, and it influenced this movie so much, and it makes me sad.
It is sad. And it had the guy playing Garfield that played Venkman.
Yeah.
The one that talked like this.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Venkman. I don't sound anything at all.
Well,
like
I know, and Dave Coulier did a voice for a while. I think he was Aykroyd, the Aykroyd character.
Maybe.
I don't remember. I know he was a voice in it, but like
It was fine. It's so 80s.
it ran for like 5 years, and it's just
It was so popular.
They just none of the creators had anything to do with it.
No.
They just gave the yes because there was that other Ghostbusters show that was very popular, some French show that came out, and they were like, no, this is the real Ghostbusters.
Right.
And honestly, they made money off of it.
It wasn't a bad cartoon. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
a fun show. It wasn't just a cash grab, it seemed.
No.
But they did that, like Beetlejuice had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. They did.
Aliens,
technically Rambo had a Saturday morning
Rambo had a
cartoon.
Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Potts did appear in the 2016 reboot of Ghostbusters in a cameo role, and she did reprise the role of Janine Melnitz in Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
They gave her a non-cartoon haircut for that.
Yes, they made her look a little more realistic.
But it wasn't just her. A lot of the monsters and stuff looked more cartoony.
Yeah. They were definitely more cartoony, and it was toned down. Like they didn't allow them to do any smoking in the movie because they were like, oh, a bunch of kids are going to watch this because of the cartoon.
Fine. But
Yeah.
they all smoked in the last one.
Oh my
But,
god, everybody all the time. They were like, yeah.
But that was back when everybody smoked all the time everywhere. Anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, it suffered from. It was a little schizophrenic because it did have some of the adult stuff in it. Like
Yeah. Oh my god, the weird
having
the
sex
subway?
with the with the goo.
Yeah.
That Spengler had sex with the goo.
Well, and yeah, the implication.
Are you
that-
sleeping with it? And then he's looking around. Oh, you dog! You
it's
dirty
always
dog!
the quiet
It's always
ones.
the quiet ones.
Or when they're down in the subway and all of a sudden all the heads on spikes reappear.
Yep.
Which technically was part of reshoots.
Yeah.
Because Reitman was like, it's getting a little too kid friendly. But it was that just made it uneven. And
Yeah.
It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could really feel the studio interference on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter MacNicol was cast as Janusz Poha.
Yeah,
essentially. MacNicol had appeared in a small number of movies before winning the part of Janusz. During his audition, he used an accent he based off of Meryl Streep's from Sophie's Choice. The script does not specify the character had an accent and impressed Ivan Reitman.
It was great.
He was great. I mean, you gotta be, as a director, it's gotta be great when you see somebody do something and you're like, hey man, like 90% of my work is done. Great.
I love it. Whenever I directed, I loved when somebody brought something in.
Yeah.
I hated when somebody brought something in that didn't work and they were
Yeah.
very adamant about doing it, and then they
yeah.
couldn't, and they were pissy about it. But somebody who brought in something absolutely original, that was the greatest thing in the world. That's what collaboration is about.
Exactly. MacNicol spent hours in his trailer creating a backstory for Janusz, who originally was called Jason and was pretty boring.
Well, that just goes to show you how much time you have on the movie set.
He made him Carpathian, giving him a stronger tie to Vigo, to the point of writing a long backstory not just for his character, but for the nation of Carpathia.
Okay.
He went so far as to create a flag for Carpathia, which featured a snake stepping on a man.
All right. Lay off the pot, MacNicol.
I just love it. I mean, it's like, yeah, because honestly, you're right. Hollywood is just a lot of sitting around waiting for things to happen. And you're just sitting in your trailer. It's like, well, rather than sit around and like play video games or do nothing, I'm going to create a flag for a fictional country.
He's a highlight of the movie. I mean,
He's great.
He and Rick Moranis and Annie Potts kind of steal that movie, which is so hard to do with the Ghostbusters.
Huge talent, yeah. MacNicol would thrive in TV after Ghostbusters II, appearing in 20 episodes of The Powers That Be, an early show from the creators of Friends from 1992 to 1993.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, I think it was at like an agency or something.
He was in 31 episodes of Chicago Hope, 103 episodes of Ally McBeal, being nominated 3 times for the Emmy for supporting actor, winning once.
That show was so unique. It was really good. A lot of people give it crap, but it did a lot of groundbreaking, bizarre stuff.
It did. It really did. It was super weird.
And people loved that show.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
And it was really good. I mean,
yeah.
I just remember the dance routines they do in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, and then
the weird dancing baby.
Oh, that thing was creeps. But I do like to do a rewatch of that show. I think it's kind of...
I've only seen part of it. I've never seen the whole thing.
It so kind of encapsulates the 90s.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of why I want to watch it.
Yeah.
And Calista Flockhart's married to our very favorite Mr. Harrison Ford.
Yeah. MacNicol also directed 3 episodes of Ally McBeal.
He's a talented MFer.
He is. He appeared in 94 episodes of Numbers from 2005 to 2010. He also wrote 2 episodes of Numbers. He's just a renaissance man. He was in 24 episodes of 24 in 2007.
I'll do it, but I want to be in 24 episodes of 24.
I'm assuming... I always forget that 24 was technically real time.
Yeah.
And that's why it was 24 episodes.
Yeah, a season, yeah.
So he must have... I don't know if I saw that season. I don't think I did.
That was a good show, too.
Yeah, it started okay, and it got kind of...
It was fun. I mean, it was...
It got a little too right-wingy conservative by the end.
But the first couple of seasons were really clever and very different.
And good. And it just got a little soap opera-y.
Oh, yeah. And Kiefer Sutherland was great.
Yeah. And he was also in 9 episodes of Veep, being nominated for an Emmy for Guest Actor.
Nice.
He most recently can be seen in Shell, directed by actor Max Minghella, a dark comedy take on Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's available on streaming somewhere.
I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, he's great. MacNicol's great. Kurt Fuller was cast as Jack Hardemeyer.
Oh, Kurt Fuller.
Yeah, he was like the governor's assistant, I believe.
Yeah, he's the replacement for...
William Atherton.
Yes, for Atherton.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they didn't bring Atherton
I'm surprised they didn't either, because he would, yeah. Fuller is a character actor that plays sleazy very well.
Oh, yeah, he's got that voice.
His feature film debut was in The Running Man in 1987.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was his first movie.
Yeah.
He was so good in that. He has made appearances in...
Red Heat, No Holds Barred, The Hulk Hogan Movie, The Bonfire of the Vanities, Wayne's World, The Fan, Pushing Tin, Scary Movie, Autofocus, Anger Management, and Ray.
He's also had a long career in TV, appearing in...
Psych, Supernatural, That's My Bush, Time Cop, Alias, Desperate Housewives, Better With You, The Good Wife, Parenthood, Scandal, and Evil.
Most recently in Evil. He was in quite a bit of it, actually. He was one of the... not main characters, but
he was a priest. He came in to I think he came in to take over for another priest who died.
Oh, okay.
But I remember him mostly from Psych.
Oh,
he,
yeah.
He played the coroner. So funny.
Oh, yeah.
So funny that the guys talk to. Very absent-minded, very weird, but very likable.
He's just so good.
He
so good.
plays weird, likable. He's the kind of guy, like Atherton... There's no likability. He just plays pure a-hole.
He's just a dick.
Which is very rare to be able to do that and still be good.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
To be full a-hole. But Fuller, has an inherent likability to him that no matter what he's playing,
Yeah.
you kind of root a little bit for
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Like, he's yeah. Yeah.
Like, even in this, where he's like, I'm putting them Ghostbusters in the thing. He's doing it for what he thinks are the right reasons.
Right. He most recently appeared in 2 episodes of Night Court.
Nice. Boom, ba-da-ba-dum. Ba-dum, biddy, ba-da-ba-ba-dum.
David Margulies returned as Mayor Lenny Klotch.
Lenny.
Margulies started on the stage, but has become a prolific character actor. He appeared in...
The Front, Last Embrace, All That Jazz, Hide in Plain Sight, Dress to Kill, Times Square, I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, Daniel, Brighton Beach Memoirs, 9.5 Weeks, Ishtar, Running on Empty, Out on a Limb, Stranger Among Us, and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
On TV, he appeared in...
Kojak, Tales from the Dark Side, Spencer for Hire, The Days and Nights of Molly Dodd, Chicago Hope, NYPD Blue, Northern Exposure, Touched by an Angel, and Law and Order.
And most famously, 8 episodes of The Sopranos as mob boss Tony Soprano's lawyer, Neil Mink.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great in it. He's great in everything. I mean, that guy was just a solid character actor.
Yeah.
Loved him as the mayor.
Oh, he was so great. I'm
reactions.
just glad they brought him back.
Lenny,
Yeah.
think about it. You're going to save the lives of 4 million voters.
I mean, I'm going to go on a limb and say that the reason he's still mayor is because of the Ghostbusters.
Yeah. And Atherton's not there anymore.
No, that's true. Sadly, Margulies died on January 11th, 2016 of cancer in Manhattan at the age of 78.
Nothing is more painful than cancer of the Manhattan.
Yeah.
And
in your Manhattan. Yeah.
Very sad. Trying to make light of sadness. Sorry.
Harris Yulin was cast as Judge Stephen Wexler.
Oh, you know him.
Yeah, he's got that face. Yulin has appeared in over 100 movies and TV series, including...
Scarface, Clear and Present Danger, Bean, The Hurricane, Multiplicity, Murder at 1600, Cradle of Rock, and Training Day.
He will next be seen in the new MCU show Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, he's a guy that screams a lot.
He literally screams in this so much he causes the goop to explode.
Yeah.
Those are the Gold Brothers. I put them away. You gotta help me.
Janet Margolin was cast as the prosecutor. Margolin started on stage, earning a Tony nomination for her first Broadway show, Daughter of Silence, in 1962.
Nice.
She appeared in Enter Laughing, the biopic of Carl Reiner, directed by Carl Reiner, in 1967.
That was my first starring stage role.
Oh, yeah.
I was the star of Enter Laughing.
Oh, okay. You didn't play Janet Margolin's part?
No.
I played, God, what was the name? Jonas or Joe, something. But all I know is I was in every goddamn scene of that play. It was the hardest play I've ever done.
Wow.
Like tons of monologues, just me on the phone.
Wow.
And the guy that played the shopkeeper was this stoner from South Africa.
Oh,
This
no.
white guy. The first guy that got me high. And
How old were you?
17.
Oh, okay.
Well,
For
16
some
when
reason,
I did this.
whenever you talk about the story, I always think of you as being like 10.
No, I was 16 when I did this play.
Okay.
And or 16 or 15. But the first time I got high, I think I was 17 or 16. But he was the first dude to get me high. But he was so stoned all the time that he couldn't remember his lines. So I would have to just improvise these entire scenes with the two of us
Wow.
that were really funny because his reactions.
Right,
But it was
right.
just like, it was
You're
the
not
hardest,
helping me at all, man.
I know. Hardest role I ever did.
She also appeared in Annie Hall in 1977. Sadly, Ghostbusters II was her final film.
Oh, no.
She battled ovarian cancer for a few years before finally succumbing in 1993 at the age of 50.
No.
50.
No. F cancer, man.
Yeah.
F effing cancer.
Yeah. There was a number of cameos and smaller supporting parts in Ghostbusters 2. Wilhelm von Homburg played Vigo the Carpathian.
Vigo.
Due to a permanent split lip, which Homburg has said has kept him from getting acting parts, the production hired Max von Sydow to voice Vigo.
Max von Sydow. I am Vigo.
Sadly, Homburg didn't know this until the premiere of the movie, upon which he stormed out shortly after his first appearance in the film.
Hold on, I have a tape of that. Hold on. Let me play it.
Hey, oh my god, that's not my voice. Why aren't you using my voice? I'm getting out of here. This is just an outrage. I told my mom all about it.
He actually played one of the terrorists in Die Hard the year before.
That's where you can hear his real voice.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah. His character's full name was Vigo von Homburg Duschendorf, named after the two kids that played Oscar, William T. Duschendorf and Henry J. Duschendorf II. They're actually nephews of John Denver, whose real name was Henry J. Dushendorf II. That doesn't make any sense.
That is weird.
I'm going to say they're nephews of John Denver, whose real name is Dushendorf.
Sure.
I don't think he was. I don't think he shared the name with his nephew.
Who knows? The Dushendorfs were a weird family, man. A bunch of heavy drinkers. Yeah, they were so cute.
They were so adorable. Adorable kids. And, like, the fact that they were just so, like... I mean, Bill Murray. Like, if I was a kid and Bill Murray was picking me up, I'd be like, who the hell are you? Get away from me. And they were like, hey, it's cool.
Because he's also just... babies probably love him.
He's
He's
a
just
big
so...
goofy. He's got that
He's
energy.
a big kid. He's
Yeah.
just a big kid. He was... And those scenes with him and the baby are really good. His acting is on point.
It's a whole other side of, which is why it's funny to me that I didn't realize he had kids. But it's like he's actually really good with kids.
But you know, this is another thing too about why this movie's aged better. When I first saw it, I hated the fact that they broke them up.
Yeah.
And they had to get back together because it just seemed like unnecessary drama, unnecessary, you know. But watching it again, it's so much more interesting, and the character development of his character is so much more than it was in the first film.
Yeah.
And it really helps give him heart, and it gives Bill Murray a chance to really flex those muscles.
The whole story of how he realizes what he threw away with Dana, and like how he was like, why? You know, it was dumb. It was just him being a dick about everything.
It's a little weird that we don't know anything about the father.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was he a one-night stand?
I think it was Vigo.
Was it Vigo?
It's actually Dan Aykroyd's baby.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sadly, Henry of the Dushendorf twins died on January 14th, 2017 by suicide at the age of 29.
Holy shit. I can't...
I don't know why. I didn't see anything about explanations of like where they're at or anything.
Probably drug. It probably, you know, like
it
a
just sucks.
painkiller addiction.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate,
Yeah, I don't,
but it's
I don't
just...
know.
I can't imagine being the surviving twin, the bond that twins have that I've, you know, and it's just...
It's
how
awful.
one twin goes one way and one goes the other way. It's just weird. So sad. So sad. It's just if you're having any thoughts of suicide, or you feel like you could get some help, talk to somebody.
There's a lot of resources out there. I just talk to somebody.
There's always going to be a better day.
Yes.
As somebody who deals with that, somebody who deals with depression
Yeah.
and has suicidal ideation, it's just I get it, man.
No, this is precisely the reason why I would never be able to do it, because it's so permanent. It is permanent. It may seem like a good solution, but at the end of the day, you're never going to know if things were going to get better or not. Brian Doyle Murray, Bill's brother, plays the shrink in the psych ward.
I love him.
He's so good. He's so good. Ivan Reitman's kids appear in the movie. Jason, who would go on to direct Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, plays the kid at the birthday party that tells Ray and Winston that his dad says they're full of crap.
My dad says you're full of crap.
I just love the meta irony of it being literally the director's son being like, you guys suck.
He tells us that every day.
And the little girl with the dog is Catherine, Ivan's daughter.
Let's see what happens if we take away the puppy.
Yeah, it's one of the best last lines for a scene ever.
Oh my God. And Brian Doyle Murray, man, ever since Caddyshack, I have loved that guy.
Yeah.
The Murray brothers, there's like 4 of them that act, and they're all in their own way really fun. But Bill's the best.
Oh, yeah. Judy Ovitz, wife of talent agent Michael Ovitz, who represented many of the principal cast, appears as a woman in a restaurant who is slimed when Ray points. Yeah, remember when it shoots off and hits her?
That's so funny. Yeah, he flips his arm.
He's like, it's over there! And then it's,
Let's put my wife in it. She's been kind of a bee lately. Get that slime in her face.
She's going to be covered in slime.
Get it in her eyes. Get it in her eyes.
Mary Ellen Trainor, who appears in almost all of Dick Donner's movies, appears as the host of a children's party.
Yeah, in Lethal Weapon, she plays the psychologist that they torture all the time.
Oh, yeah. And in Die Hard, she was one of the anchors, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but she just gets tortured by Mel Gibson and Danny Glover.
Yes.
In the Lethal Weapon.
So good.
They really don't deal with mental health that well.
No, they don't. Cheech Marin plays a dock supervisor who watches the Titanic come in.
Yeah. Better late than never.
Which actually, funny thing was that the port 43 or whatever it's going to was the actual port it was supposed to be going to before it sank.
Oh, that's really clever.
Yeah. Philip Baker Hall portrays the city police chief.
I just want to say that Chong looked awful. He looked like a big fat blonde guy.
He did.
It was amazing. They must have used prosthetics.
A lot of prosthetics. Philip Baker Hall portrays the city police chief. I have a huge talent crush on Philip Baker Hall.
If you don't, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hard Eight. When I first saw him in Hard Eight, the very first Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Immediately, it was like I just was taken.
The guy is insane. So good on Seinfeld. So good on Modern
God.
Family.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He on Modern Family is the neighbor. Was one of my. I just love actors like he, who work until the day they die, literally.
Yeah.
And just easily, just climb into these parts as they age, and as the aging neighbor. One of my favorite episodes of Modern Family is the one where Claire is running for city council or whatever, and her husband Phil has to take Philip Baker Hall to vote. He's like,
Right.
I need my oxygen. Well, I gotta go here. You're gonna kill me.
and it was just the two of them, the nicest guy in the world with the grumpiest guy.
Yeah.
It was just so beautiful.
so
he
great.
he deserved every Emmy for that.
He's so good. I love him. He's such a good actor.
Oh God, yeah.
Bobby Brown plays a doorman.
Is he dead?
Yeah, Phil Baker Hall died.
Recently, right?
It wasn't too long ago. Yeah. Bobby Brown plays a doorman.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
He's in the movie now, so he's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't-
not legal.
Rap. Kevin Dunn and Chloe Webb appear as Milton England and Elaine, guests on Venkman's TV show.
Chloe Webb is so good. So good in this.
Yeah.
You may know her. She played Nancy in Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious
from
and-
the Sex Pistols. Yeah,
And Nancy Sinatra.
and their amazingly awful relationship with heroin.
Well, a very destructive relationship. But a brilliant movie. She's absolutely brilliant in it. I think Gary Oldman's first movie, he was playing Sid Vicious.
If it wasn't his first movie, it was very
one of his
early
first.
on.
And
yeah.
an amazing performance.
Yeah, oh yeah.
As soon as that movie came out, everybody was like, this guy,
Gary Oldman, done.
boom, stamps.
Chickaboom stamps.
You got a career for life, buddy. Kabajoom.
I also really like Kevin Dunn. He's a character actor that's been in a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
and like he's great in this. I just love that he's like, it's very. Don't you think you should be like 20 years from now? You're not going to sell any books, and he's just like, I don't control this.
What about selling books?
Yeah, he always plays like dads or
Yeah.
buddies or whatever. He's just a very solid guy.
So ILM was hired to do the special effects for the film. Woohoo! Yay! The team was originally hired to provide 110 effects, but this grew to 180 because nothing like almost doubling the workload.
Right, and again, these aren't just guys in front of computers.
No.
These are model builders, matte painters.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to not just create this stuff. Well, it takes a long time to create this stuff to actually do the shooting.
Right, exactly. ILM was also working on special effects for other 1989 releases like Back to the Future Part 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and The Abyss, but had the most difficulty with Ghostbusters 2 because designs and concepts were constantly changing and new scenes being added.
Well, it was also, they were pretty much the only game in town.
Yeah, I mean, there were some other smaller houses.
Right,
but-
and most of them are offshoots of
Yeah, they were
ILM,
people
Band
that
from
worked
the
at
Ranch
ILM
and different,
and- yeah.
I used to go to see all those guys all the time when I worked
Yeah.
for ILM. We had tons of little farms.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd have to farm out effects because it's just too
You have
much.
to, yeah. ILM eventually refused to accept any further alterations. As the schedule tightened, ILM had 9 teams working every day for 4 weeks to complete the expanded 180 shots.
Insane.
That's crazy. The slime was made of methocel, a vegetable-based gel.
I am obsessed with movie slime. I am obsessed with goo. The sticky, weird goo that they make for whether it's this or like stuff that's like in bug guts or whatever. Just
Yeah.
that goo.
Yeah.
I want to be a goo
I
guy.
think it's mostly this methocel stuff. I'd never heard of it. I did some research on it, and it seems like it's used a lot.
I want some.
It was actually, they had dyed it a couple different colors, and then Reitman decided on pink for
Perfect.
the slime. Yeah. The film required approximately 100,000 U.S. gallons of the slime.
Ugh, I wonder what it smelled like.
I'm sure it did not smell good. 4 cement mixers were kept on site to mix fresh batches daily because it deteriorated so quickly.
All right, get your mixers working, boys. We got a lot of slime today. It's a big time. We got the river of slime going on today, so we're going to be using all 4 mixers. So, look, union guys, no messing around. We're going to get this ready for the production.
This is a perfect example of you're talking about with special effects, because you look at something like that river of slime and you're like, oh yeah, that could easily be done with CG. It was not.
No.
It was done for real.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a miniature,
Sure.
but like it was done for real. That was real slime flowing through a set.
They dunked those actors in that goo.
Oh, they did. They did.
You're going in the goo today, boys. It's goo day.
The painting of Vigo is actually a photograph and currently hangs in the main offices of ILM.
I have seen it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a photograph.
Oh,
It looks
man.
like such a good painting.
I don't know. Look, ILM's changed at the Presidio now. I don't even know what's at the ranch. But back in the day, when I would go to the ranch, the Skywalker Ranch, it was a treasure trove of childhood memories. There was Indy's whip, his hat, the idol from Raiders, lightsabers, Back to the Future crap. You know, the just all the models and everything that you can think of.
Right.
It's dizzying the amount of nostalgia that you feel walking through that place.
The pneumatic subway line that Ray finds when they lower him below the street was based on a pneumatic line built in 1870 by Alfred Beach.
This is the most fascinating thing to me, and
It was great. It came on screen, and Jim was like, "That's not real."
I had no idea there was an actual pneumatic subway. And granted, it was kind of a...
It wasn't,
No, it was a ride.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of like Angel Flight in Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
It goes up like 30 feet.
Yeah. You know, you're not doing it for the convenience. You're doing it for the novelty. But it was a test run for an entire subway that it wouldn't have worked.
No. It operated using compressed air and was built as a demonstration of a pneumatic transit system. The 1 block long tunnel was built prior to any other subways in the area and without any city approval. The single station had frescoes, easy chairs, statues, and a goldfish pond. The line was shut down in 1873 due to lack of official and financial support.
Oh, it's so cool. It was very steampunk, man. It just looks like steampunk. The drawings and everything of the tube. And because everything was classy back then.
Oh, yeah.
They made everything look amazing.
It's nice chairs and stuff,
And a pond.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we had a pond in the subway station now? Everybody just urinate in it.
Full of urine,
Gross.
yeah. The tunnel entrance was sealed and the station was reclaimed for other uses. In 1912, when digging for the modern subway system, workers found the original tunnel still in good condition and the remains of the passenger car.
That would have been so
How
effing
amazing
cool.
would that have been?
It would have been like...
It would have been like, what is this?
Exactly. Like,
It had been sealed for like 40 years.
So cool.
I'm sure none of them even knew that it had existed.
I would have... Oh, my God. I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to.
We would have thought that somebody was coming from underground. It's like we're getting invaded.
So crazy.
The tunnel was removed to make way for the contemporary subway lines, and the car disappeared. No idea what happened to it.
Nah, I wish I would. I want to see a documentary about the
It would have been
subway
fascinating.
system.
Yeah,
Did any other country or...
I don't know.
Did it ever go anywhere?
No, I
I'm going
don't
to have to
think
look
so.
it up.
Following test screenings, the principal crew realized there were numerous issues with the film. Reitman said that upon watching the test version, he realized the final 25 minutes of the film.
Just died a horrible death.
So he spent 4 days filming a new 25-minute ending to replace it. Extensive reshoots were conducted throughout March and April of 1989, only 2 months before the film's release.
Yeah, it's trouble. Spelling trouble.
Ghostbusters II had been scheduled for release on the July 4th Independence Day holiday weekend, but Reitman felt June 23rd would work better. They then learned that the superhero film Batman was also being released that day, so they asked to move the movie to the 16th of June. Yeah.
Wait, did they move it after?
Yeah, they moved it after they found out that Batman was going to be released.
But did they move it after Batman?
No, before.
So, yeah, but that's a smart move. Yeah, you got to get a jump on that, baby.
Yeah. On Our Own by Bobby Brown was a success, spending 20 weeks on the United States music charts. Yeah. Ghostbusters 2 was released on June 16, 1989, to generally negative reviews. Critics responded unfavorably to what they perceived as largely a copy of the original and a softening of its cynical, dark humor to be more family-friendly.
Not wrong.
Yeah. The performances of Peter MacNicol and Rick Moranis were repeatedly singled out for praise.
Yeah, they sure were, you know.
God, they should have had more Rick Moranis. It made me sad they cut his
And the romance between him and Annie Potts was brilliant.
Oh my God, when Sigourney Weaver comes home and he jumps up, it's like he's like the little kid that got in trouble. He's just like, oh God.
We weren't doing nothing. Everything's okay.
He's so brilliant.
But Annie Potts,
Oh, he was a little fussy. We gave him a little French bread pizza, and he just shut right up.
As a sequel to the then highest-grossing comedy of all time, Ghostbusters 2 was expected to dominate the box office. Instead, the film earned $215.4 million during its theatrical run, compared with the original's $282.2 million, making it the eighth highest-grossing film of the year.
That's not bad.
I mean, it still made a ton of money off a $30 million budget. I mean,
what are they bitching about?
But the funny thing is that Columbia Pictures deemed it a financial and critical failure, effectively dissuading Murray from participating in a third Ghostbusters film.
Well, it was not a financial failure. It might have been a critical failure, but it wasn't even 100% a critical failure.
No.
It was just, people were like, meh. It's
Just not exactly what we were looking for.
You hyped it too much.
Yeah.
You hype
Yeah.
things too much. People are definitely going to be disappointed. It's every time I see, well, not so much now, but back in the day, whenever I would see a Coen Brothers movie, I would be so hyped that my first viewing, I didn't really like it.
No, same.
Because I was expecting so much. Because everything that they did was different.
I do this with Tarantino.
And then I'd watch it again and be like, that's what happened with Big Lebowski. I didn't love it at first, and now I adore that movie.
Yeah.
But it's just, sometimes things are just a victim of their own expectations.
It's funny because I also do that with every single album that Radiohead releases. I'm always like, what is this? And then I listen to it a couple more times and I'm like, oh, I get it.
But that's good art and good artists because they're surprising you and they're taking you someplace that you didn't think you were going to go and you're not super comfortable being there. And then you realize, oh, well, they did the right thing and it's me.
Yeah. They are growing and changing. It's okay.
I'm not. I'm the one that's
I need
stuck.
to grow and change. Yeah.
I'm in a rut.
Discussion about a sequel took place during filming of Ghostbusters 2, but Ramis was dismissive because of the actors' ages and the difficulty in getting the cast together.
Yeah.
Despite Ghostbusters 2's relative failure, the name recognition and popularity of the actors and their characters meant a third film was still pursued by the studio. Of
course.
Even though they called it a financial box office bomb.
You know why they did that, Adam?
Because they didn't want to pay out the 10%.
Well, they also wanted to lower the quotes for number 3.
Yeah.
You know, it's all bullshit. It's just all absolute.
I know. It's all just idiot executives.
Evil. The evil executives.
The concept failed to...
No, Bob.
Yep.
No. Tried to come in.
Yeah.
Go find your kids.
The concept failed to progress for many years, reportedly primarily because of Murray's reluctance to participate. Rick Moranis was also one of them that when he saw the movie, he was very disappointed by it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But I think a lot of that also had to do with the fact that a lot of his stuff was cut out.
Probably his favorite stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of great physical comedy, you know.
Him chasing around Slimer in the firehouse.
It would
have
been
funny.
It's more of a well-rounded character. This still, like Tully is, more well-rounded than he was in the first one.
Yeah.
But he also lost some of his edge. It's just, I get it. They kind of made him very much, he and Janine, he and Janine both very the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
The irony is they included Slimer in the movie because he wasn't originally going to be in it, but it was because of the real Ghostbusters and that he lived in the firehouse. So then they had the whole thing with Lewis of him supposed to be chasing him around. And the irony, the real irony, is that Lewis Tully, was not in the cartoon until after Ghostbusters 2 came out. And then they put him in to essentially do the thing he was supposed to do in the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which was live with Slimer in the firehouse. It just was bad planning.
Rick Moranis deserves better.
Yeah, he does. In the years that followed the release of Ghostbusters 2, Aykroyd continued attempts to develop a film sequel throughout the 90s and all the way to the early 2010s.
He is just a sweet puppy dog, just earnestly trying to get things done.
Loves the first movie so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure he looks back on it as like, that was the best time.
Yeah.
I had the most fun making that movie.
I think he enjoyed being with the people. I think he and Murray are good friends. They've been through everything together for the last 50 years.
Well, and him and Ramis working together, like writing together and stuff.
Well, all three of them.
Yeah, they were,
But then didn't Ramis and Murray have a falling out? But then they patched it up before he died, I think.
Yes, there was something about that. I didn't include any of that.
I think it happened over Groundhog Day or something.
I don't remember.
There was just a bad blood that luckily was quenched.
Yeah.
Or not quenched, but quashed.
Yeah. By 1999, he had completed a 122-page concept for a sequel called Ghostbusters 3 Hellbent, which would add several new characters and take them to Manhattan, a demonic version of Manhattan, where they would encounter the demon Lucifer.
Love it. Sounds great.
Sounds great. I'm sure his first draft was probably insane.
Well,
in 2009, Ghostbusters the video game, featuring story consulting by Ramis and Aykroyd, and the likenesses and voice acting of Murray, Aykroyd, Ramis, Hudson, Potts, and William Atherton, who portrayed Walter Peck in the first movie, was released. It was actually set 2 years after Ghostbusters 2, and the story follows the Ghostbusters training a new recruit, you, playing the game, to combat a ghostly threat related to Gozer. technically it's Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, I never finished it.
I never did either.
It was fun. I think we picked it
They
up.
did.
For like
They
a
did
buck.
a remaster of it
Yeah.
a few years ago, and I picked it up, and I got to a certain point in a hotel, and it was a maze, and
I think I got to the same place.
But it's really honestly because it is essentially Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah,
It's kind of similar with demons and
Yeah.
stuff, but like they take over Manhattan and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to. I need to finish
Yeah,
that.
same. In May 2010, Harold Ramis contracted an infection that resulted in complications from autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis and lost the ability to walk.
Jesus.
Ugh. After relearning to walk, he suffered a relapse of the disease in late 2011. He died of complications of the disease on February 24th, 2014, at his home on Chicago's North Shore at the age of 69.
Oh, that was so sad.
I was very sad.
So
Very
sad.
sad. After Ivan Reitman chose to no longer consider directing a potential third Ghostbusters film, he determined the creative control shared by himself, Ramis, Aykroyd, and Murray was holding the franchise back and negotiated a deal with the studio to sell the rights. He spent 2 weeks persuading Bill Murray. Reitman refused to release details about the deal, but said that
The creators would be enriched for the rest of our lives and for the rest of our children's lives.
yeah, they made some good money off of it.
Yeah.
And he's probably right. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, like having that control with the four of them, like having all four of them needing to say yes to everything, like that, that's why nothing happened for 30 years.
That's why nothing happened with the Choops,
Yeah,
my
well,
comedy
yeah,
group.
Yeah. So Reitman and Aykroyd set up the production company Ghost Corps, to continue the franchise, starting with the 2016 female-led reboot, Ghostbusters, starring Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, and Chris Hemsworth. The movie had mixed reviews and was considered a box office bomb.
It was an uphill battle.
It was.
A real uphill battle. And it's a shame because everybody in it is super talented. Leslie Jones is great.
They're all really funny.
The
and
director is
Paul
really good.
Feig
Paul
was
Feig.
great. And I gotta be honest, this is probably one of my favorite things I've seen Chris Hemsworth do.
Oh, he was great.
He's so funny in this.
It just was a little. It almost seemed like they went out of their way to be a little bit different where they didn't need to be.
Yeah.
I don't know, to
I agree.
kind of cement their own thing. But hey, I think it's great. I love seeing. I love it when people go out of the box, try something different with the franchise, even if it's a miss. I love big swings.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's much better than just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, oh my God. Reitman's last movie he directed was Draft Day in 2014, starring Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner, if you remember that amazing movie about football.
I actually do.
Yeah. He would continue to produce movies until he died in his sleep at home in Montecito, California on February 12th, 2022 at the age of 75. Yeah. Ivan's son Jason would direct Ghostbusters Afterlife in 2021 and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in 2024. And another sequel is in the works.
Great. Keep the franchise alive. You don't necessarily need the old guys,
No. I mean, that's kind of where they're going with it. They're
Passing the baton.
Yes, passing the baton.
Paul Rudd was great in the first one. If they're going to make a third one, nail what his character is. Figure the F out.
Please.
You can't. I love Paul Rudd, but I'm really getting tired of him coasting on his charm.
Yeah.
Or his Paul Ruddiness. It's like, come on, dude.
He needs to do some
Challenge
drama
himself.
or something and like
Well, he has, and when he does stuff that's different, he's good at it. But he's not going to be able to really play a villain or whatever. He's just too likable. We know him too well, unfortunately. And if he does, he's going to have to do a goddamn good job to make it. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. They made new Star Wars movies. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's still the old one.
No one's taking away your old toys. No one.
Your toys are right where they were the entire time, ready to be watched and played with. And is this as good as the first one? No way. But is it as bad as I thought it was? No way.
If you haven't seen it in a while, try it again.
Yeah.
And in fact, the beginning of this movie makes it for the best double feature ever.
Oh my God.
Because the Ghostbusters ends, and then the first thing you see on screen in Ghostbusters 2,
5 years later.
5 years later, I just want to do a back-to-back screening just to see the change.
Yeah, I also want to watch all the other ones, and even maybe a couple of the cartoons, just to see remember what it was like.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved Ghostbusters. It's such a cool concept. Guys fighting ghosts.
Yeah.
And look how many horrible reality shows this movie has has birthed
God.
ghost hunters, ghost brokers, ghost
Yeah.
buddies, ghost ghosters.
Ghost coasters. Ghost coasters.
You know, it's ghost hunting and ghost busting has become an actual real job because of this movie.
I actually, a friend of mine from Zombie Joe's, he is back in Illinois now, but he's actually a pretty successful YouTube channel doing ghost hunting stuff around the Midwest.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's BS, but it would be a lot of fun.
It's completely BS.
Yeah.
But he's entertaining. I mean, that's what,
PKE meter's really going something strong.
I know. I love all the weird technology.
The ghost photography where it's like, oh, those are dust bunnies.
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're spurts.
You definitely should watch Ghostbusters and then Ghostbusters 2.
Shh. Smell that? That's my favorite from Ghostbusters 1. That's how good my acting was. You were like, what? Smell what?
What?
Yeah, baby. It is so much better than I thought it was, and I really, really had a good time. And that's what's been happening the last few months is, you know, a scavenger hunt or with this or, you know, whatever. It's time and a whole bunch of bad movies
Oh, yeah.
make for an older mediocre movie to kind of bump up to okay, pretty good.
It's
Like
a
I
fun
said.
movie. It's a fun movie to go back and see some old friends hanging out and having a good time.
Because regardless of all of the issues and problems that you mentioned, the chemistry, the fun, and the camaraderie of the four leads is still just as strong and fun as it was in the first one.
Yeah.
They might be doing as crazy of things or smoking their ciggies,
Yeah.
but they're still funny as hell. And even the climax, which I hated when I first saw it, I thought it was just so cloying. I really liked it this time.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
I think I'm like the Grinch, man. I think my heart's grown a few sizes.
You're becoming the opposite of grumpy old man.
Becoming a human being.
All right, well, we'll be back next week. We're going to be covering one of my favorite Christmas movies. There's no question this is a Christmas movie. National Lampoon's Christmas
It is in the title.
Vacation. It's literally in the title. I love this movie so much. It is in my top 5 of my favorite comedies of all time.
It is. This one, it's another one where I love the first one, and I never really liked the other ones very much, and I'm thinking that this viewing is probably going to bump it up again to maybe a B+ for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, babies. Woo, doggy. Is it a Christmas movie? Ho, ho, ho.
I was going to start rapping again.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've forgotten it already.
Too hot to handle,
too cold to hold. The real Ghostbusters in the in control.
Hey, you know what? It's not legal, Karen. Welcome to Genetic. That was weird.
That was weird.
Okay, got our first bloop.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They're called the Ghostbusters and they're in control. Had them throwing a party for a bunch of children. All the while the slime was under the building. So they packed up the group, got a grip can equipped, grabbed the proton packs off their back, and they split.
I don't know, my mouth got weird. Alias. Is it Alias or Alas? Oh, Alias. Alias.
You know the Jennifer Garner show?
Alas?
Yeah, alas. Alas, I have a show.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, Hill Street Blues, already in progress.